Coming in hot from Arizona, this is Trevor
and Troy Howard.
And you're on So Tell Us Time. You can have everything you want in your business. Sometimes you just need a little help.
Every business owner would love to charge more for their services, but sometimes you can sacrifice long-term loyalty for a short-term profit.
Creating the right rituals is key to your business having success.
Are you tired of competing with your competitors? Guess what? You don't have to compete if you create.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of So Tell Us Time. As you can see today, it's just me. Don't worry, Troy will be in the next episode. But like I told you, we're traveling and we're getting things done. We're at an event. And so we're split up at the moment, but we will be back together on this next episode. So don't worry. But I do have a good one for you today. The question is, do you have a business or do you have an expensive hobby? You hear us preach all the time that you need to know your numbers. And surprisingly enough, there are many companies, including some successful ones, that don't know their numbers, which is absolutely crazy. Because the thing is, if you don't know your numbers, you don't have a business. You have an expensive hobby. And that can be very dangerous. And that is a lot of times what Troy and I are going into businesses and helping them with when we do our consulting side. We're helping them actually pull everything together to look at their business from a 360-degree view, pull it apart, see what works, see what doesn't work, and then always almost it's like getting down to those numbers, because they may know some of their numbers, and we're going to talk about that, but a lot of times they don't have the full circle. They don't close that circle up. They're kind of leaving it open, and they don't have all the numbers they need in order to really grow. And you can get by really well for a long time. You can grow that way, but eventually it will catch up with you, and you will not be able to go to the next level when you are building your business that way. So let's talk about the ones that people do know. The ones people know more commonly are like the cost of goods. So products, equipment, chemicals, software, those kind of things people understand. They know the cost of those things. They have those numbers and they factor that into, this is my monthly expense. The other thing is employees. They've got payroll. Maybe they have benefits. And so they know what that's going to cost them. So they take the cost of goods, right? And then they take the cost of employees. And the thing is that, you know, in that cost, there's things like you're going to need to continue to buy new things. Your employees might need new things, new equipment, stuff breaks, repairs need to happen. So most people actually do even have like a little buffer that they have in that number. So they know that every month that they have this a little bit of extra just in case. Now, if you don't, and you're sitting there going, oh, I don't have that. Well, there you go. Tip one, put that in. Put a little buffer in. Look at what your cost of goods and services are, what your cost to service a client is, and including employees and all of that. And then take that number and add a little extra so that each month you have that little extra already set aside, or in your mind at least, knowing that you're going to spend that money. And I always like to set it aside. Troy and I, we like to set it aside because here's the thing is, even if we don't spend it that month, it can compound over time. And when we do have something, we then have a little extra funds as well on that. So that's a good one. You've got office. So a lot of people are going to be running their businesses out of their homes, but a lot of people have a warehouse. They have a storefront. They have a building. So you're going to have rent, you're going to have utilities, and then like things that people don't think about, like, you know, paper products for the bathroom, toilet paper and soap and all these kinds of things. Do you have someone come in and clean the office on a regular basis? So those are things that people kind of, they know about these expenses, right? That's the third thing that most people are pretty aware of. Not always do they factor that in. A lot of times I'm going, they don't have, you know, all the little extras that an office is going to require of them, like toilet paper and soap and cleaners and whatever that is, right? They don't always have that factored in. I'm like, no, that's got to be factored in, right? We want to put that together because we need to know our numbers. But there are several things that most people don't track as well. So we talked about the things that they do track well, from cost of goods and services to employees and to office space, and that can include cost of services could be trucks or vans or whatever that is that you have to provide for you and your employees to be able to service the clients. So a lot of people know those numbers, and that's great. That's always a starting point, and that is very important. If you don't know those numbers, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. All too often, I see people are like, well, there's money in the bank. No, that's not how you run a business. I don't care if there's money in the bank. If you're just going off of what's in the bank account and you're not tracking everything and knowing your expenses, then you can very easily have a bad month and get into a lot of trouble. All right, let's talk about the ones that people don't track as well. The cost to acquire a customer. People don't track this in depth very well. And it's a super important one that they should be tracking really, really well. And so one of those things is marketing. And with marketing, that could be anything from, like, if you go to events every year, if you do flyers, if you're paying for SEO or PPC, pay-per-click, if you're doing any social media marketing, if you have a referral program, that is all marketing. That's all going to come under one house. So you can think of, how do you do it? Do you have door knockers, people out there? That's also employees, but it also is marketing. So, and there is a cost behind that as well. People are not great at tracking this, because what I mean by that is they don't know the follow-up numbers. They might know how much they spend on events and flyers, SEO, PPC, social media, or some sort of referral program. Or rewards program. You may track that and know that number, but where they really start to fall apart and they don't close the circle, like I said earlier, they kind of had this U shape and they haven't closed the circle, is in the conversions. Tracking the conversions. And so all the time people will say, well, I spend money on SEO and PPC and I just, I don't really know what it does for me. That's a terrible sign. If you're like, well, I don't really know how much I produce. Now, again, you could be doing very well, but you can be doing even better. And that's the point of listening to this podcast. Get better. I don't want to hear, I'm good. I want you to be better. That's great that you're good, and you're good until you're not. So let's be better. So it's harder to not, right? So what we need to know is conversions, the conversion numbers, and that's really important. Leads. How many leads are produced every month through your various avenues of marketing? What is that cost per lead? Meaning, what is the conversion on it? So how many leads do you get and how much money did you spend? So you got some X amount of leads and it cost you Y. So it equals Z per lead, right? That's a little bit backwards, but that's okay. So there's a cost for how many leads are coming in, how many leads are converting, right? And then you can get that conversion rate, which is a really important number. And then the last thing is knowing how many of those leads are you closing. So that is the number of that's what you need to know, because how much is it costing you to acquire a customer? There's a cost of acquiring a lead, and then there's a cost of acquiring a customer, turning that lead into a customer. Because again, if you're doing good, that's fine, but we want you to do better so that it's harder for you to, be doing bad when things go bad. We want to make your company really, really fine tune all these little things. So if you're good at, you go, hey man, we're doing flyers, we're doing the mailers, we're doing SEO, we're doing the PPC. We're even doing some social media, and I'm tracking it, and we are getting business from that. That's awesome. That's great. But the number you need to be able to then say is, and this is how much it costs me to acquire a lead. This is how much it costs me to acquire a customer. And this is how much I'm going to make off of that customer. So that's that last piece, is how much are you going to make off of the customer? So the lifetime value. I don't mean, month one, because a lot of times what people don't understand about business is you might be at a loss for a period of time, but that's okay because you're going to make money off of this customer. So if you know that your average customer's lifespan is 3 years, then what that customer is worth, their value, their lifetime value, is the 3 years. So what are you going to make on that customer over the 3 years? And that's what that's worth. And so when you look at it, a lot of businesses, they think, oh my gosh, I'm drowning. But it's that month 2 is where they become profitable on acquiring new customers, and they're going to continue to be profitable on those customers for the next 3 years. Maybe it's month 4, maybe it's month 6, whatever that is. Now, sometimes in the service industry, obviously, it's like a one-time thing, and so you need to be profitable immediately. But if you're setting up, recurring revenue with customers, you have a lifetime value of that customer. And even in the service industry, carpet cleaning and things like that, you should be getting back to your customers on a regular basis, meaning, biannually, annually, whatever that is. You should be setting up to where you're doing a good job and you're having that person be a repeat customer. And if you're doing that, then you have a lifetime value for that customer, and it's not just a one-time thing. So that's a really important thing to know, guys. See, you can see where I'm going to guess a lot of you probably are like, man, I'm really good at knowing these numbers and I'm really good at knowing these numbers. But boy, I sure am missing that last piece of connecting the dots. And all too often, if you've ever said, well, marketing didn't work, or that didn't work, SEO didn't work, or PPC didn't work, or flyers didn't work. If you were my client, if you were talking to me, if I was doing consulting for you, I would say, great, show me how much you spent and show me that you lost money because of it. So show me the money, show me the conversion, show me the leads that came in, show me how many you converted, and show me how much money you made off of it. And if you can't show me those 3 things, then you have no idea about your marketing and whether an avenue of marketing is working or not. And that's a scary thing. You're making judgments. There's only so much a business can do, and you're judging a potential avenue of revenue based on faulty information, not having all the information. So that's it, guys. Simple, quick. You know me. I'm in and out. I like to do these really fast. So this week's homework is take steps this week, obviously, to track a number better. You don't have to get it all done this week. You don't have to revamp everything, but pick one thing that I talked about today and track it better all the way through. And I promise you, this is how companies go from this level to this level. This is how you make exponential growth, by knowing your numbers and not just hoping, throwing it out there and hoping that something comes back, hoping that it's working, checking that bank account is the only thing you're watching. Like, oh, is it going up? Is it going down? What's happening? That is not tracking your business. And that just becomes an expensive hobby, and hobbies don't last. Hobbies change. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. And we will check you guys on the next episode of So Tell Us Time.